Nigeria. There you have it, Mr. Trump. Well, on his way to victory, being announced officially, I guess, looking at the votes so far. But what does it mean for Africa? What does it mean for Nigeria? Already, we see the dollar trending, and that's no good news for our debt servicing. Neither is it good news for oil and all of that. But let's find out now with what it could mean with Mr. Orji Udemezue, the managing consultant and chief executive officer of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited. He joins us virtually from Kaduna State. Now, Mr. Udemezue is actually supposed to talk about the market, but I mean, I can't help but look at this first and see what this could mean for Nigeria. Mr. Udemezue, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Morning, Ini. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Udemezue. So what does the Trump win mean for, I mean, let's just go straight to Nigeria. What does it mean for us?
Trump's winning means a whole lot, not just for Nigeria, but for a whole lot of the emerging markets, Africa, Asia, in fact, the whole world. Because it is believed, and I also believe strongly, that the uncertainties, the geopolitics we have in the Middle East, in Asia, Russia invading Ukraine, and so on, that those wars and rumors of wars and escalations are going to be tempered now. They're going to, he has his own way around global leaders, and they also have a whole lot of respect for him. Let's not say that they fear him, but he's a very strong leader. He was able to curtail ISIS and a whole lot of other issues we had in the Middle East. So his winning will mean that all the sources of inflationary pressure, like the Ukraine invasion by Russia, caused disruption in supply chain, both oil and gas, crude oil and so on, wheat and several other commodities that come from that axis of the world. And that was what actually triggered the main round of inflation from 2022, which has caused problems not only in Nigeria, but all over the world. Can you hear me, Ini?
I can hear you, Mr. Udemezue. Go ahead, please.
So with his winning now, we expect that in the medium to long term, those issues or wars, Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran escalation, and so on. In fact, he even promised that before he takes over in January, that he would have resolved the issue with Russia and so on. I also believe that the rest of the Middle East will listen to him more and then get this whole war settled. If that is done, inflation globally will begin to temper and get better, and you see global economy threatening again beyond its current level. Now, so I believe that Nigeria's GDP will also become a bit stronger than the fragile position here now. Yes, the price of crude oil may not go as high again as it has gone before, but for Nigeria that's also a positive, because we're still very dependent a whole lot in imported crude. Even if the local refiners will have to import the crude oil like Dangote, they will get at a better price over time, and I believe that will reduce the high cost of things in Nigeria and will also cause a better pricing of commodities. Inflation will come down. While dollar is threatening quite all right, I also believe that Naira will also get some breather.
Okay, Mr. Udemezue.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Udemezue, let's hope that all those good things will come to pass as we see that Mr. Donald Trump is leading. But I mean, before you came on, we did talk about the oil and gas, and we wanted to see a bit about the sentiments, how all of the controversy with the petrol price and all the policy and all of that is affecting investors' sentiment. So we do know some of the high points in the oil and gas is that Africa Capital Alliance recently they sold shares worth 19.8 billion of Aradel Holdings PLC. following the listing, and we've seen a lot of things, profit taking going on with Aradel that led to a negative market last month. Now we also see Unicel. Unicel, well, not very much known, but now we see it's a Nigerian-owned oil and gas production solutions company, and we've seen it trending. It's been on a gaining rally for a couple of weeks now. And then we have O&O. O&O just released its results. The suspension that was on it, trading its shares, has been lifted. And we've seen the result, O&O PLC reporting 45.5 billion in pre-tax profits as supply trading business boosts 2 trillion naira. So looking at sentiment around the oil and gas counter amidst all that's happening in the industry, what have you observed?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Ademezue. Please go ahead.
Great things are happening in the oil and gas sector. Can you hear me? Any?
Go ahead, Mr. Ademezue. I can hear you.
Okay, so the oil and gas sector is becoming more and more exciting, with O&O leading the new waves of divestment. Investment, deep investment in the upstream sector of that industry, where they recently completed the acquisition of now Nigerian Agri-Oil Company's huge assets, and a few others are following. But O&O has become the leader in that movement of buying over these assets from divesting international oil companies. And if you look at the result O&O released and the rally in their shares, you see that there's a whole lot of goodwill coming around that company, and investors, who are very smart, will begin to take position in that, segment of the oil and gas sector. If you look at O&O's result, they grew significantly from 2022 to 2023 across all parameters, and then due to some challenges they had earlier in the year, insecurity, and all of that, and of course their foreign exchange losses, they posted a decline, not a loss now, but a declining, growth in their profitability. All right, but if you, drill down further on that line, you find that 2 months post-acquisition of NIOC assets, they have seen huge growth in their trading activities, O&O trading, and of course, a better use of their huge assets, which they just acquired from NIOC in trying to boost production. That's just in 2 months post-acquisition. Now, if you give them time, because O&O is a local or indigenous operator now in the upstream sector of Nigerian oil and gas sector. Now, they know the environment, they know our people, all the insecurity issues, post-community aggression and all of that are going to taper. They're going to, manage them better, because we know ourselves. We can enter the creeks and resolve the issues. And if they remove those obstructions to the activities and put their huge assets they recently acquired from now almost $1 billion of assets, they begin to put them into productivity, use them very well. If they maintain even their current level of return on assets, you will see a huge level of profitability coming up on that investment. So there's so much excitement awaiting investors in that company, and of course I believe in other similar companies in that sector, the Seplat and the rest of them. So O&O is a leader in that sector, and I see a huge opportunity, in their operations. Don't forget that the acquisition of NIOC assets includes a whole lot of things, several about 40 discovered, oil fields with about 25 or more currently operating, and even almost 40 of about to be discovered prospecting field. They have a large, asset of gas pipeline, crude oil pipeline, even the loading bay in brass, and very importantly, the energy, that's the power plant in Obai, and there's a whole lot.
All right, Mr.
Ademezue.
Yes,
so
yes, obviously.
Government support our local player, and they're able to put these assets to use. There's so much promise on the investment in O&O and their shares in the market, my own belief.
Yeah, Mr. Ademezue, well, I really wish we had more time, because it would be interesting to know how this will fit into the issue, the challenge that we have now, which is importation against a local refinery. But I mean, time for bidders to do all of that. I've really taken a bit of the time as a Sunrise Daily. But thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. Ojidemi, Managing Consultant and Chief Executive Officer of Flame Academy and Consulting Limited. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Always my pleasure to be on your show. Thanks so much for inviting me.
All right, now let's head back to the Sunrise Daily studio with Nelta and Kayla.